Sure.
Awesome. Hello, guys, and welcome back to another episode of the podcast. My name is Liam Hydrisney, BlushOne. Again, having that identity crisis with too many names. Today, we have Den or Ghost10101010101010110. I don't know.
It's pretty
Uh,
close.
something like that.
Something
But
like that.
yeah. I'll get you. I want to get the understanding of where that came from, and if it was just like
Oh,
you
sure.
wanted the game tag Ghost, and then just had to put numbers after it. But
Well, so a lot of people actually ask me, and because I've oftentimes thought about changing it because it is ridiculous. But I always liked horror movies and stuff when I was a kid, like supernatural, whatever stuff, and I always liked like nerdy computer stuff. So I was like, oh, we'll just put them together, and there you go, and that's it. And it's just Ghost in like a little binary string. It doesn't actually like mean anything. I think it means like three for one or like U, like the
yeah,
letter U. I didn't know that when I did it. I just wanted the numbers because I was like, oh, that makes sense to like
like
my
binary code.
15-year-old brain or whatever. Whenever I made it,
Yeah,
um, but yeah, that was it. It wasn't like some brilliant thing. At
yeah.
the time, I was like, "That's genius," but no, it was just
Well, I think it's
fucking.
really clever knowing now that it's binary and not just like a random. You know what I mean? Like not.
Yeah, there is some meaning to it, but it's not like it wasn't super well thought out.
Yeah. Well, there's also for those of you guys that don't know, Dan is a content creator. He's got stuff that's going out there on YouTube, on Twitter, on Twitch. He's been described as the late shift holder for Twitch TV and for the Halo community. So I kind of always like to start it off by all his links are going to be in the description. So if you guys haven't checked him out, you should definitely do it. Click on all of those things, follow him, watch everything, like everything, be a part of his stream, help him grow because we love that. But we're going to just have a bit of a chat, get to know him a little bit more, give him an opportunity to tell his story. He's someone that's got a really great musical gift as well. So looking forward to going into that in a little bit more detail. But aside from those things, man, is there anything else that everyone should know about you straight off the bat?
You hit it, man. I play video games and I play music. Those are really my passions. They've consumed my life and my cats. My chat really loves the cats.
Yeah. How many cats do you have?
We have two, and we have a third kitten here that I don't know if we're going to be keeping, but my girlfriend ended up picking it up because it looked like it was abandoned, and she didn't want to just leave it. It was just sitting there like meowing under a tree, and it had like a cut on its head and all that. So we've had that kitten for like 2 weeks now. I don't know if we're going to keep it. We
Mm,
might. It's one of those things that will probably end up moving into being part of the family, but
yeah. Cats have got a good way of doing that, don't they? They just if they like
they
where they're at, they're gonna stay.
they sure do.
Yeah. Awesome, man. Well, I guess a good place that we generally start with everybody is like, have you always been a gamer since you were young, or is it something that kind of came on later in life?
Absolutely. My some of my earliest memories are playing video games because I'm an old dinosaur. I'm 31, so in the esports age, that's like you're in the grave essentially.
Yeah.
But I remember like my brother helping me play through like the original Super Mario Bros. Because he could just like blaze through it, and I sucked at video games because I was a tiny child.
Yeah.
Um, I remember that and getting like hand me downs for like all of like the classics. And I remember it's weird. I think he took the NES and then I ended up playing one of the Ataris. I don't
Mm,
know which one because there's a bunch of them.
yeah.
But I remember playing like Pitfall and all that stuff. And then eventually I got the NES and then like a hand me down Sega. And then when I was kind of in like I want to say what would it be like the middle school kind of realm of things. That was when my mom bought me a PlayStation for Christmas,
Yeah.
and it all like then it just I saved up allowance and continually bought into whatever came out, and I've just been into it ever
It's
since a young age.
it's so weird getting to talk to so many people who started playing when they were young, and it's generally like Nintendo kind of stuff, and
Hmm.
then PlayStation, and then you get to like Halo, right?
Yeah.
I'm interested to know. Um, did you start playing from Halo One?
Technically, yes. I this is gonna sound bad. I don't exactly remember when I picked. I think I picked up an Xbox secondhand. We weren't exactly well off. I'm pretty sure we picked up an Xbox secondhand, and I rented Halo and Halo 2 at some point, but I didn't have internet,
Dude, I
so I never.
completely forgot about being able to rent games,
That was a thing.
like
I
from
forgot that
Rockstar and those type of things, man. Wow.
people probably won't. Younger audiences actually might not even know. Back in our day,
Yeah,
we
honestly,
would drive to a store and rent a video game for a couple of days.
so crazy, man. Like I haven't even had that. I have not even thought about that. Now you can go on Game Pass and you can get the best games in the world done, right?
Yeah,
You go on Steam, best games in the world done. But honestly, back when I was a kid, I used to, if a game was out and I didn't have the money for it, I'd walk across to Blockbuster to,
absolutely.
and hire it out for the weekend. Wow,
We
man,
we had
that's
a. I used to live. I lived for a long time. I lived in Minnesota, and there was a local. I think it was local. It's called Video Vision, and they did like $3 for 3 days or whatever. And that's one of them closed down. That's actually where I got. I still have. I have a Sega Genesis and a bunch of games that I bought for like 50 cents each or whatever from there. But yeah, that was my initial exposure to Halo. Was I think renting the first two games, but I didn't get to play them online. But it was always in my head because I was like, oh, that's really cool. And I'd always heard about Xbox Live and playing online, but it wasn't until the 360 days that I finally in Halo 3 that I got online and got that experience.
yeah. Yeah, the reason why I was curious is because I think like 90% of the people that I talk to and I ask that question about like when did Halo kind of come into it, everybody has like their Halo dealer, right? Like their friend that had Halo, or like you went over to someone's house after school, you didn't even know you're going to go play Halo, and then they just busted out, and then next thing you know, you're 28 and still playing Halo. And,
You're not entirely wrong. My friend group or whatever was always it was always like the gamer nerds or whatever. The few of us that there were at that school. And that's I'm gonna say that's probably how I heard about stuff because you didn't. It was such a different time.
mm,
Stuff went from word of mouth. It wasn't, you just got advertisements blasted at you online all the time because I wasn't online. We had magazines and they're like, hey, you heard of this? And that was it. That's how you found stuff.
seriously. And I can't imagine what it's like for kids these days. It's great to have a conversation with you because I feel like we're both from a very similar era. And I spoke to Monza. I'm sure you know who Monza is, and we were talking about like the first kind of experience that you had online, and how crazy it was to think that there was somebody else somewhere else in the world that was in the same game as you, moving around. You know what I mean? And like I remember the first time that I ever saw, like even just in a custom game at my place playing split screen, I thought that was cool. Oh look, there's my brother moving around, right? And now
Yeah.
there's thousands of people online, running around in these multiplayer games together and that don't even really think about it.
Yeah, it's a completely normal thing. I
Yeah.
remember, what the heck was it? Maybe it was Perfect Dark. I think I played at a friend's house that had bots and stuff that you could have on and stuff, and I thought that was just like mind blowing. And
Seriously.
now it's like today like half the games are free and you can just log on and play with like a million people online if you wanted to.
Yeah, it's a
It's
crazy
just
world, man.
mind blowing. Yeah.
Yeah. So again, so you kind of rented the first two games and then Xbox 360. So was Halo 3 then the first game you played online?
Um, I think the first game I actually played online was Call of Duty 3,
Yeah.
I want to say, which I know is a weird one, but I want to say that was the first one, and then I think Halo and Gears of War were the next two that came along, and then that was it. That was like
That's
I was lost. I was a goner from then on.
yeah.
And that was really my friends we would get on and play Halo or Gears after school and stay up until like 2 a.m. and
Life, man. You're talking about the life right there.
yeah, rinse and repeat.
What when you what were you playing with friends? Just customs or?
We would just do like I wasn't like a super competitive player. We'd just play like big team or there were a lot. I forgot about the customs actually. You just flooded me with a bunch of memories with like Jenga tower and stuff like that. Man, we did do that a lot. Or the infection. I don't remember if I don't know how popular it was. There's like a sand trap one where you drove around in circles and
Yeah,
had a bunch of infection things going on.
yeah.
Yeah, that did happen a lot.
Yeah, I remember. I look. I was always. By the time that I started playing Halo, it was like after school. I think I was like 18, right? So I came in late. But I hear so often, and I remember the late night custom games. We used to have the like most played one, right? We'd have 10 mates, like all on separate TVs downstairs at my place. We'd have Guardians, Fiesta, Crazy King, no, Mosh Pit, the one where the hill didn't move and it was just top mid on Guardian,
Yeah,
and everyone was just spawning in with random weapons. And I honestly think that we could have played that 4 hours straight without anybody getting up to move. You
that
know?
makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. I mean, Super Fiesta at this point, at least in Halo 5, is like the most popular.
All right. Before my internet was very rude and decided to cut us off, we were talking about Halo 5 Fiesta being the most popular playlist in Halo 5 at the moment.
Oh yeah, well you had talked about your friends loving Guardian Crazy. What was it Mosh Pit?
Yeah, that's the
Playing
one.
that for hours. And I was like, it makes sense because at the moment, at least, one of the most popular playlists in Halo 5 is the Fiesta playlist. People just love, they flock to it, at
Yeah.
least for just the burn time and um, especially if you're stuck and can't find a game overnight.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I think one of the reasons why Fiesta is so popular is because it's like the closest to actually being able to feel like you're playing a casual Halo game again.
Yeah,
Because the MMR like doesn't feel as intense because everybody's just like running out with terrible weapons, and
yeah,
you're not talking about map placement, and like that whole skill thing is like a lot lower when you play that playlist, right? No one can
you're
play.
probably right. I imagine every time I see people talk about Halo 5, it's usually the sweat factor
Yeah.
that is associated with it.
Yeah, that's I don't know. There's like I could be wrong, but I think that I remember not being the greatest player in the world when I started playing Halo 3, but me and a couple of buddies that weren't very good Halo players either, we could jump into Social Slayer and we could try and win a few games in a row. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? It wasn't. I right now I'm lucky to win 5 out of my 20 games, my last
yeah,
20 games. It's crazy.
good.
But so okay, so yeah, you started playing Halo 3 online. Was it ever a competitive thing for you? Like, were you ever pushing to try and get a 50 and like the high skill and that type of thing?
I wanted to do something with I don't remember what it was. It was never in like the MLG playlist. Maybe there was. Was there ever anything? Maybe it was just Team Slayer. I don't know. My friends didn't really want to do ranked because they were more casual than I was. I was always more competitive out of the group. I did play a lot more Lone Wolves, and I don't know what I got, like a 43 or something, which isn't like crazy, but I think it's not too bad considering I wasn't even aware that timing power ups or anything was a thing.
Yeah,
Um, but I still wasn't. By the time I wanted to get better at the game, I think everyone was kind of moving on, and yeah, it just kind of never came to fruition
yeah,
with the group of friends and stuff that I had.
yeah. Did when Halo 3 kind of finished up and then Reach kind of came on the scene, did that bring friends back to Halo for you, or was that something where like everyone had already moved on by that point?
It brought new friends. I feel like some of them stayed around, but I feel like I just met more and more people that liked Halo instead of just jumped on to whatever new game was out, kind
Yeah,
of thing.
yeah,
So that was kind of neat. And I still know, like, speaking of just like meeting people through Halo, of all of the Halos, I know Halo 4 is hated, but I met this dude and he's a really good friend of mine still. Like I met him years and years ago playing like a random social match of Halo 4,
wow,
and we're still friends. We still keep in contact and everything, even though we don't actually play. Like he doesn't have an Xbox anymore, but you know that connection is still there.
Yeah, yeah, sure. What's his game tag? You want to shout him out?
Moth to Flame.
Moth to Flame. Hey, that's a cool game tag.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the beautiful thing, man. We talked to Legendary 117. I'm sure you know who he is, his streamer, and he met his partner playing games on Halo Reach. You
There
know,
you go.
and they're married now. So I love hearing those stories about Halo bringing people together. And I think, like we were talking about before we started, that's one of the biggest strengths the Halo community has is being able to make friends, through a game, and then being like, "Hang on, I really get along with you."
Yeah,
And
for
then,
sure.
yeah, hopefully, when COVID's over, we will have the opportunity to start meeting at LANs or expos or whatever.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I've been seeing a lot of people kind of murmuring about that on Twitter,
Yeah.
trying to get it set up, but nothing's in stone because of COVID, because of
Yeah.
the whole situation.
Well, that'll all change eventually. So,
Yeah.
because well, I'm surprised you mentioned Halo 4. What did you play more of? Did you play more of Halo Reach or more of Halo 4, do you think?
More of Reach for sure.
Yeah.
I still wasn't like a huge fan of like Bloom and like the way like the bleed through damage worked and stuff.
Mm.
Um, and I think a lot Reach was like that first one where people were like, I don't know about this.
Mm. Yeah.
I didn't hate it. I really liked the cause it's funny my competitiveness went up like the more social stuff became like happening, like armor abilities and whatever. Like people like hated armor lock and all that stuff and jetpacks, and then I wanted to get better and better at the game, but they just kept adding more and more kind of silly things,
Yeah, I'm just saying.
Um, but I don't know. I'm getting stuck for words. I apologize.
No, no, it's good. So as the game became more social, you were starting to think, oh, okay, I want to get more competitive about this, and then it was kind of like the whole community was dying down a bit because they're like, well,
Yeah, that's a way to word it. It's unfortunate, man, because like even at its base, like Halo 4, when you strip away like kill streaks and loadouts, and maybe if you added back, descoping when you shoot somebody, it's actually it's a really good game.
yeah,
Um, but it just everything kind of happened too slow, and like it didn't have ranks. I don't remember entirely.
yeah.
I
Actually,
don't think it had a ranking system at all.
I have no idea how the Halo 4 ranked system worked. Or
I
if there
want to say it didn't have one like period besides the XP system, which like I know people like grinding XP,
yeah,
um, but like in the end, like I think the ranks are more of a thing for especially for Halo players. They love showing off, what is like stick the gold star on the refrigerator, look at me.
yeah,
Um, but I don't think 4 had like any of that, and it didn't have very competitive modes or anything, and they kind of died off super fast.
When did the content creation side of things come into it for you?
Um, I Man, I don't know, cause like I'd always watched streams and YouTube stuff for years, since high school and whatever, of everything, not just Halo, but of just about everything. And I was always like, man, I really want to do that, but I just never did.
Mm.
It's one of those things where I should have, I wanted to, but I was too shy or anxious or whatever. And then one day I was like, I spend like 5 to 6 hours after work playing this game like every day. I'm playing Halo 5 at this point, or at that point. And so I just started streaming it off my Xbox for the hell of it because I was like, I'm not doing anything else. Most of my friends have moved on from this game,
Mm.
and I'm just like bored and alone. So I'm gonna stream and see if anyone stops by, and that was the start of it.
Wow. Can you remember how many years ago that was?
3, 3 or
Three.
4. It's one of those numbers.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And how did it start for you? Was it a type of thing? Did you have people coming in straight away, or was it a slow kind of roll up?
It was pretty slow. It kind of depends because like I still played relatively social throughout like the first half of Halo 5. I played like BTB and just whatever. And for Halo, and especially with streaming, people are very attracted to like if you're better at the game or whatever. That's a thing, and it makes sense, whatever. Um, or if you're like extremely extravagant, which I am not. I'm very chill and laid back. Um, but I would match random people, and then they would come into stream and be like, "Hey, you're really good," or they would, whatever, something would happen, or I'd piss them off, and then they'd come in, and then they'd realize I'm pretty chill, and they'd be like, "Oh, hey, you're pretty cool."
Yeah.
Specifically, I don't know if you know David Suomi. Suomi, I don't know how to pronounce his last name. He's a European dude that lives in Finland right now.
Mm.
I remember he got real antsy at me after a game, and then we bickered a little bit, and then he was like, "Oh, that makes sense. You're really chill." And like I've known him for like 3 years now. It's just like,
Yeah, yeah, killing him with kindness and just being so chill. Yeah, that's what the Halo scene needs more of, right? Instead of the toxic side of things, people, because it's such an ego-driven game.
oh yeah,
Like, yeah, like if you five search someone or you reverse someone or you just like blatantly beat someone that's frustrating you, it's just like I don't know if it's the history and they're like growing up with Halo, but you automatically want to stand up and yell at them. you know?
yeah, for sure. And I at the end of the day, people got to realize that it's an online thing, and some people take it a little too far. I'm
Yeah,
not going to name names, but there are definitely some competitive players that will go beyond the boundaries of just trash talking and stuff. That's a little, but
yeah,
um, I don't know, it's an online game. Just
yeah,
gotta chill out. It's fine to be competitive and trash talk if you keep it within a certain degree, but
yeah.
you know.
So when you're streaming these days, what time are you kind of generally streaming?
Um, so I used to aim for like midnight Central Time, and then I just go until I was tired.
Yeah. Wow.
I've been starting around 3 or 4 a.m. now, and going until like 8 or 10 a.m.,
What?
which I know is a weird thing, but then I stay up for most of the day and get my human normal day hour stuff done,
Yeah.
and then sleep and then wake up. It's a weird early morning thing, but
So you'd normally sleep what like until midnight?
yeah, kind of.
And like so you're sleeping from like lunchtime to midnight kind of thing? Or like just after lunch to
Yeah.
that's kind of cool.
It depends on if I get the sleep. I
Yeah.
don't sleep a whole lot. I never have. Like when I was going all the way back in high school, I only slept like 6 hours a night maybe, and
Yeah.
and I feel fine doing that. And I've always worked nights for like basically my entire life, outside of like maybe a year working as like a cashier or whatever when I was in high school. But I've always worked like that, like 4 p.m. to like midnight, and then I would stay up until like 6 a.m.
Hmm.
Or I would work from like midnight to 6 a.m. and then stay up a few more hours and then sleep, through the daylight hours, and then
Yeah.
wake up in the afternoon.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Oh well, if we got to find whatever kind of suits you. That's pretty good because I mean that finds you at a really good time for a particular audience. Like I said, I knew of you when I was in Australia because those times lined up better. All right.
yeah, that's a completely crazy thing to me too, because like I've met so many people. Like one of my best friends and mods, he's from Singapore.
Yeah.
Like it's so wild. He's from Singapore. I've known a dude for like 3 years from Sweden.
Yeah.
David from Finland. Like all these people that are just like all over the world that I would never have seen or talked to, and you know,
Yeah. Again, wonderful place to be in the Halo community. Hey, when you find the right
yeah.
people. And so, okay, when you're streaming, how many people are you generally streaming to these days?
It wildly depends. Like if I play Halo, I'll pull in like 20 people or something like that, or 20 or 30, depending, whatever. If I stream like an off game, it'd be like 15 or 10.
Yeah, yeah,
It is what it is. Halo people like Halo, it turns out.
sure. And what do you reckon's the best stream you've ever had?
uh oh man, I don't even know, cuz like I'm friends with a couple of different people that are quite a bit more popular than I am. So like I don't know if you know who Spoonerism is, but he's an old YouTube content creator who kind of switched to streaming a lot. every now and then he'll just like raid me for like a couple hundred viewers, and
Wow.
then that'll be overwhelming, you know? Or like
Yeah.
Nade God or someone will drop in with like a 70-person raid or something, and it's just like, that's,
Yeah. Wow.
I'm like way more comfortable having like 5 people talk in my chat, and then all of a sudden just like flood, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. That's so cool. And so, how did you meet those guys that are coming in and doing that? Is it just from the consistency of people starting to know who you are because you're on at the same time and you've been doing it for 3 years, or did you were you in their chats and getting to know their communities?
So I met Spoon ironically through playing Halo. He was playing the Halo CE throwback playlist, and we just matched randomly, and I was like, I know that guy.
Yeah.
And I luckily went off. I went like, some absurd KD or whatever, and I did this stupid thing that I hate when people do it because it annoys me. I jumped in his chat. It's like, hey Spoon, I love you, blah blah or whatever. Hello, Lucky. I don't know if you could hear him yelling.
Yeah. Yeah.
um, GG and all that. And I'd been in his chat a few other times, but I don't talk a whole lot when I'm in people's chat. I just kind of lurk and listen.
Yeah.
And he asked me if I played the game a lot or streamed a lot or something. I was like, oh yeah, I stream this game all the time. And then he raided me later that day,
Wow.
and then we just kind of became acquaintances slash friends, and I've known him for like 3 years now. And Nade God I found through Pixel Pete. I don't know if you've talked to him. I think you have.
Yeah.
Not
Not.
sure.
Yeah. Yeah. I know who he is, but we haven't had him on the podcast yet.
Okay. Yeah, he hasn't. He's kind of taking a break from Halo until Infinite at the moment. I think he's one of
Yeah,
those
he's
people
playing
that kind of.
Apex, I think, a lot more recently.
Yeah, but Pete's a great guy, and I don't know if Pete name dropped me to Nade God, or I don't know how that happened, but Nade God somehow found out about me, and that's how I found out about him, and that's how it happens, the whole friendship circle.
Yeah, yeah, I love that. And so obviously we're coming up close to E3, and we're going to be about to get some news from Halo Infinite, which
Mm-hmm.
it's what we're all hanging out for at this point in time. What are like the things that you're kind of most excited to hear, right?
Um, I mean, we can go with what I really want. I don't know how long they're planning on showing this stuff. Like, let's say they only did a 20-minute presentation or something. If they did like 10 minutes of like a campaign thing and 10 minutes of a multiplayer stuff,
Hmm. Hmm.
show some solid functioning gameplay
Yeah,
that is somewhat polished, and and then just say, hey, there's a beta, go download it.
yeah, yeah,
That would be fantastic. I don't think that's gonna happen.
yeah,
To me, that would be the best. I mean, what else could be better
yeah,
besides getting your hands on the beta that of a game that's a year late?
yeah. Fair enough.
Um, but they with COVID and everything, shit. I mean, what are you gonna do? And also, they have to. I don't think a lot of people talk about it. Like, they have to make it both for the OG Xbox One and the new console, and make it work on PC. It's difficult to make it run on every single system
Yeah,
and run okay, like
yeah,
to
yeah,
acceptable terms.
yeah.
Um, not I don't want to seem like I'm being too hard on them, but
I think everything you said there was being super lenient. Like if I was to answer that question, I'd be like this and this and this and this, and I've got like dot points and like extended dot points on exactly what I'm looking for from this E3 announcement.
I
But
just I just want to see the game at this point. It's wild that we haven't seen anything. Basically, I don't want to say like the screenshots are nothing, but like
oh, I know what you mean.
it's not a whole lot for like we don't know how the game functions essentially. Like we have no clue.
Yeah,
They showed off that tiny bit of Chief running around and clambering and stuff, and I love Halo 5's movement. Rest in peace, because I don't think it's gonna be exactly like that in Infinite. Um, so I'm interested to see the movement. I want to see how the guns function. Also, rest in peace to Magnum, because I think they're going BR starts, and it's gonna be Magnum's gonna be hard secondary. Um, Also, the Hydra's coming back. They
don't get
showed that, didn't they?
don't get me started if it's coming back or not, man.
I'm pretty sure they showed a picture of it, which is
If there's one weapon, if there's one weapon that just didn't need to happen, in my
mhm.
opinion, it's the Hydra. I absolutely hate the Hydra. And
Yeah,
you know,
I'm not a fan either. I'm not a.
it stems from playing in Australia, right? Where
Hmm.
if I hear the doof doof of the Hydra in Australia, and you're playing it, and all my Australian friends and guys, you'll understand this. You hear it, you're dead. We can't get away from it, right? Because like
Yeah.
even if on our screen we're away from it, it'll find us through a wall. It'll do whatever it needs to do, right? Then if we try to use it, right? You're trying to do like the hardcore campy tricks. Do you remember like from like you got it lock on and then you look
You lock on and yeah.
yeah, like and then maybe you get someone, right? But
Yeah.
it's yeah, wild.
It's it's incredibly powerful for being a tier two power weapon or whatever you want to call it, like a shotgun part power weapon where it doesn't spawn on a weapon pad or like a significant spot on the map.
Mm.
Because it's like two missiles to the body kill someone. You can spray it to the ground to kill someone. You can just kind of wing it around and just do crazy shit with it.
Yeah.
And it has like 18 rockets in it or whatever.
Oh,
It's probably not that many. It's probably like 12, but it feels like 18.
yeah, it sure does.
And it respawns fast because it's a second tier one. It's not a full power weapon. So
Yeah.
it's just a whole that's a whole nother thing, I suppose.
Well, you know what? I'm okay with it. I'm okay with like the Hydra being a weapon if there's like lots of tier one, tier two, tier three, and it's really diverse, and there's like encouragement to use them, and maybe there's like imagine if there was this VR mode that everyone keeps saying that they really want for it, and you could get the Hydra, and it had like maybe just 4 missiles in it, and there was camo unlocks, and there was things that you had to do with it in this VR mode. I love the idea of there being that diversity, right?
I
Um,
imagine it has to be rebalanced quite a bit for the at least the movement we saw in the previous E3 because you look quite a bit slower.
mm,
Um,
so, yeah,
because I mean the only reason you can live from a Hydra half the time in Halo 5 is because you have thrust.
yeah,
And if you don't spawn with thrust, I don't know how you're gonna live through a lock-on missile launcher that two taps you to the body in a new game.
yeah, exactly.
So they must have done something to it. So it's probably different.
Yeah. So what's to make Halo Infinite the best game in the world and to bring people back to it? What, in your opinion, what are some things that we need to have happen?
The best game in the world. That's
Yeah.
a hefty one. Dang, dude. Well, server server quality is a huge one. There's this new game called Knockout City. I don't know if you've seen it.
Yeah.
It's just a 3v3 dodgeball game, like super simple arcadey game.
Yep.
Outside of every game starting with a network error, it'll hiccup.
Yeah.
It runs so good.
Mm.
It just runs flawlessly. You never like have to. I never feel like I'm getting blanks on anyone. You're throwing dodgeballs, but
No, I know
it
that.
never feels like you're getting ripped off,
Yeah.
and that's a huge thing with playing Halo Online. Also, nailing the balance for like aiming is a huge thing. Most of my reference right now is from Halo 5 because I've played Halo 5 so much the last 5 years or
Yeah.
whatever it's
Yeah.
been.
Yeah.
Because heavy aim is such a drag in
Yeah.
5.
Yeah.
It's so brutal. So maybe avoid having a significant aiming glitch in your game, and letting it persist throughout the entire lifespan is a pretty good one. Um, I don't know. Then having players not feel like they're ripped off is a huge thing to me personally.
Yeah.
Like in having it being easily accessible and you understand everything from when you first look at it. Like that's why I brought up Knockout City is because it's super easy to understand. It's like Rocket League.
Yeah.
And I feel like maybe Halo 5 did drive people away a little bit because some of the older Halo fans I think disagree on the skill gap in Halo 5, but I think it's there and it's quite steep
Yeah.
once you get higher and higher into like movement and stuff like that. And I don't know, make it easy, accessible. make stuff work.
Yeah. Yeah.
It is easier said than done, but and like there's already divides with because they announced that like ranked won't play with mouse and keyboard and controller. Like it's either one or the other.
Yeah.
Um, which maybe that just means that there's no great way to balance it. But I mean, Apex does it supposedly, but I always see people yelling at each other
Always.
over using controllers, and then controller players are like, oh well, he's using a mouse and keyboard, he can do this crazy movement.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know quite. It's a rough one.
It
Make
is.
it the perfect game. You just gotta make it so people feel like they're not getting ripped off, which is not an easy task to do online, especially when you're launching a game for free
Yeah.
across 3 platforms and all that stuff. But
For
which
sure.
I know is a vague answer, but
I don't know, but you identified some things there that I think are really important, which is that, and the things you identified are the lessons that we should have learned by now, right? Which
yeah,
is MCC launched and was unplayable. Halo 5 launched and had some terrible, what should have been game breaking, but we still have a community playing it with the heavy aim and some terrible servers and a bunch of things that are going wrong, right? And so, like, all you're saying is if we can just identify those things before the game comes out, try and fix them so it feels nice and flawless, and so that when we discover those things, it's hard to discover them.
yeah.
Like,
Launch a complete game, which is apparently hard to do these days. Not taking a shot at 343, just the game industry as a whole. Because I mean, how many games have launched that have just been travesties that are AAA games that have years and years of development?
yeah,
I mean, yeah, and Halo 5 launched and it had like 5 game modes.
mm,
Also, it's crazy. Halo 5's lived on. Speaking of like, Halo 5 or Halo 4 died, right?
yeah,
It died within like a few months. Halo
yeah,
5 still has like a pretty strong community. I have no idea how many people are still playing, but I can still find ranked games at, 3 or 4 in the morning, so there
yeah,
must be some people left.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, just having a fluid game that works, that has like features that should be like just kind of standard by now, like seeing your ping in a game would be
yeah,
huge.
yeah,
Like Knockout City again, that 3v3 little arcadey dodgeball game. You can turn on a thing that shows you like your ping to the server, your packet loss,
yeah,
and a few other things like your FPS or whatever. And I just feel like stuff like that should kind of be standard at
yeah,
this point.
100%. Well, we don't want to go backwards on anything, right? Like
Yeah,
Halo 5 theater compared to Halo 3 theater, like
I'm
it's
not sure how that happened. I don't know. I don't know if they know how that happened either.
not neither, but like exactly what you're saying. Like to make Infinite a really good game, they need it to be a complete game. It needs to feel flawless, and it needs to be hard to find the errors. We're not.
Yeah,
I don't think anyone's expecting there to not be mistakes that can be corrected over time, but everyone does. It doesn't want to be. I certainly know from experience now from playing these games that the first time that I ever logged on to play MCC, I couldn't play a matchmaking game, right?
yeah,
And then for years, it was just sitting there collecting dust after I paid for it, right? So that, you just don't want that, right? Halo
yeah.
5, I played so well because there were so many people playing that I got this absolutely unrealistic MMR setup playing the game for a year that anytime I ever tried to come back to Halo 5, I just got absolutely stomped, right?
Yeah.
And then they've got, they try, they want to have a fair matchmaking so that you only win 50% of your games, right? Well, I only win 48% of my games, according to Halo Waypoint, right? And that feels like I'm getting absolutely trashed. 48% of my games, like if I'm playing 10 games and I'm only winning 4.5 games out of those 10 games, why would I want to keep playing the game? You know what I'm
Dude,
saying? Like if you're playing 10 games and you're only going to win 4 of them, like do you know what I'm saying? It's
I absolutely know. That's why I've begun to just like I just play with whoever's in chat and stuff. Solo queue is a nightmare now.
yeah,
I don't know if you talk to it with like Anthony at all or anything.
yeah,
Solo queue in any playlist is just an absolute nightmare, and I feel so bad because it's not like I'm not blaming whoever gets put on my team, although
Mm.
I might in the heat of the moment just
Yeah, yeah.
because
I think we all do
stupid gamer rage. But
that.
it's just so frustrating because the system's like, well, here's a team of 3 champs and a high onyx, and you get 2 silvers and a dude that just downloaded the game, and it's like, what do you mean, dude? I can't do anything against that.
Yeah, yeah. It's strange, but again, all of those are little things. I think really valid points for what we need a bit different in Halo Infinite. Um, but I guess another thing that I like to kind of know, right? So you've done your content creation. We know who you are online. Who are you offline? When you're not streaming, and what are you doing at that point? Did you go to uni and stuff? Did you do any study?
I did for a couple of years. I did get accepted into a 4-year college, which I ended up not going to because I didn't know what the hell I wanted to do.
Fair enough.
And I went for 2 years and got my associate's degree. And that's actually when I started playing music, which kind
Cool.
of leads in nicely, I suppose. And I was working a lot because, like I said, I was not well off, so I had to. It was interesting time balancing that work life, social, and then trying to do everything at once. It was just a whole freaking thing.
Yeah.
But that's when I started playing music, and I was like, I really like music. And I asked my guitar instructor, I was like, is there a reason to go to music school? And he told me, you can either go for, a lot of people go for like meeting other people, to be honest, like just
Networking.
getting that social networking out there, and then if you're going to like either just to extend your theory knowledge or to actually get a certificate to teach or something like that.
Mhm.
So I was like, screw that, I don't need people. And then I graduated, got my associates, just and worked and continued practicing on the side at home. And
What was your associate degree in?
it's just a general associates. It was technically geared towards. I took a lot of classes on like sociology and psychology because that was what I was thinking about majoring in. And they changed while I was choosing my stuff. They changed the thing for prescribing medicine and stuff as a psychologist. So you'd have to go for like an extra 4 years or something like that.
Yeah, I think I remember that happening as well. It
And
became
I was like,
that's the difference between psychology and psychiatry, I think.
yeah, and I was like, I don't know if I want to do that.
Yeah, it's a long
I
time.
don't know. I really enjoyed it. I super dig like I dig all of the readings and the scientific papers and stuff. They're super interesting to read about.
Yeah,
Finding out why people do the things they do is just interesting to me. Out
yeah,
of all of the, besides the only other 2 things I ever liked was like English and music.
yeah.
Everything else I was garbage at. Like if it has like formulas, like if it's chemistry or something, it's ugh.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was geared up for that. Found out I really liked music, and then kind of I graduated. Didn't really have a whole lot of troubles. I continued working, practicing music. I met my girlfriend online, actually. Speaking of online connections,
Yeah.
I actually met her on a music website and found out that she liked video games.
Wow.
And then we played like Left 4 Dead and Crackdown and stuff like that together. And I ended up moving down here. And I know this has gone way off trail of
I
who
love
am
it.
I off screen,
I love it. I love it.
but and she encouraged me even further to start pursuing my singing more and stuff because I'm very shy. I don't know if I come off as that. I'm so goddamn like I'm a chihuahua, like shaking all the time. Like when I'm on stage or something, I'm shaking. But I she encouraged me a lot to pursue it because it was like one of the only things I have fun doing. Which
Yeah.
sounds depressing, but I swear it's not. Um,
I think no, no, no. And I said the same thing to Ant when we were talking just the other day. Musicians are like either two ways about it, right? You're either someone who does it for a hobby, all right, and it's something that you just enjoy socially, or it is your release. It's your passion.
yeah,
And that's why I love people that are musically gifted because it is honestly that's those two ways. It's like one way that you can kind of like you know tell people how you feel, and kind of get a part of you out that you can't in any other way, um, or it's something that you do because it brings joy to people. Like, there's no downside to
Yeah,
music.
I don't know if I'd go as far to call myself gifted, but I definitely enjoy it.
Yeah,
I like assaulting people with my music, so their eardrums.
yeah.
But yeah, I've just been that's that offline. I is more video games. I really enjoy video editing. Actually, I don't put enough time into it. Um, there's a lot to learn there.
Yeah,
Stitching together clips and doing all sorts of wild stuff.
yeah.
I found out that I really like that as well. But yeah, it's music, playing shows, watching streams still. My mom, when I was little Ghost, she was like, when I was playing like Sonic the Hedgehog, she's like, "Oh, you'll grow out of that someday."
Yeah.
Here I am, still playing video games.
Yeah, that's so funny, dude. I said to my mom, I think I was 8 years old, and I said to my mom, "Mom, I never want to stop playing Pokemon." When I was 8, right? And I have this very vivid memory, and my mum brings it up like every year around my birthday, and she's like, "And now you're 28, and you're still playing Pokemon." So,
That's fantastic.
yeah, yeah, and I love that. Like from her generation, she had absolutely no idea why I'd still want to play Pokemon, right?
Yeah, it's that weird, like they didn't have the same thing. It's like a complete divide, or gap or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But it's amazing because there's like that's such a significant gap, and then there's such a significant gap between like when I have kids, it's going to be so difficult. Well, when either of us have kids, because we're roughly
Yeah.
the same age, like it's going to be how do we keep up? Like, you know, how do
When
we?
they get in their full VR suits and they start flying around in the game, and
I'll be in a full VR suit as well.
yeah, that'd be pretty sick. Watching that, what the heck is it? Boneworks. I don't know if you've seen that game. It was made by a group, a relatively big group from YouTube, and it's super physics. It's basically like Half-Life
Hmm.
in first person. I know they made Half-Life Alex, but it's super physics driven, very heavily physics driven, and done very well. Supposedly, it looks very good.
What's it
I want
called?
to try it. Boneworks.
Boneworks. I'm gonna have to look it up. Do
Yeah,
research about it.
it looks pretty cool. I think Nate God played it. Yeah, I just don't have the money to drop on like a because it needs the Vive, whatever the super
Yeah,
high end one is that tracks your fingers super.
yeah.
Or maybe it doesn't need it, but I think that's the best way to
Yeah, yeah, of course. And
experience it.
there's just so much more to that. And unless it's
Hmm.
something that you're going to go all in on, it's a lot of money to spend. I'm curious. So, genre of music.
Very 90s inspired kind of stuff. Like that, and then Nirvana and Alice in Chains and Pearl Jam, all that kind of stuff. That was what I grew up with. And I don't know. I never grew past it.
Yeah, yeah,
I always heard the trends, because when I was in high school, or actually, I guess it was in middle school, like new metal, like Disturbed and Linkin Park and stuff was catching on. I don't know how it was actually, because I guess you were still in Australia, right?
yes.
Like back in the day.
Yeah.
I don't know how music trends happened over there, but like over here in like the early 2000s, it was all about like Korn, Slipknot, Disturbed,
Mm,
Linkin Park, and I was still into like Nirvana and Audio Slave and that kind of
yeah.
stuff.
Yeah. Very,
Um,
very emotional music, like got a
yeah,
very
very
vibe. Yeah.
very heavy stuff, and unfortunately, a lot of those singers aren't with us anymore. So it's one of those things where it's like there's no Alice in Chains is still making music. They picked up a new singer. Oh man, I don't know. It's got to be almost a decade ago. He's still referred to as like the new singer because the original Lane left such like an impact on
Yeah.
their career.
Yeah.
But they're still putting out stuff that's very kind of true to their original sound.
Yeah.
But there's not many bands that are doing that anymore. I did find someone from Australia, Courtney Barnett. I don't know, you might have heard. She's an indie kind of thing, but she plays kind of that kind of stuff too.
Very cool.
Um,
So when you are getting up on stage, are you playing like solo? Are you playing the guitar and singing yourself?
I play guitar and I sing, and it's just me at the moment. I have again. It's all it keeps coming back. I met this dude a couple years ago playing Halo, He came in chat that shit talked me. He
Yeah.
didn't though. He didn't say anything. He just held his words and watched me for a bit and thought I was a cool guy. And he came back a few times, and then we just became friends.
Yeah.
And he plays bass for his band, and he actually invited me out because I was like, I want to record and get like a little EP thing going, like a 4-track thing. And some hopefully maybe in August and September, depending on how stuff pans out. You know, these days,
Mm.
maybe we'll get something done. But for the most part, it's just me like that. Because I live in the middle of nowhere. I don't
Yeah.
remember if I mentioned during the
Yeah.
recording,
We're talking
but
about that, I think, before we started. Yeah.
yeah, I live out in farmland, so it's kind of hard to find people. And then when I do find people, they're either super young and they're kind of not interested, or they're super old and they're also not interested because they want to play like bluegrass or
Yeah.
something like not
Yeah.
quite what I'm doing.
Yeah. I see what you mean. And so, okay, cool. The music side of things is clearly really big, and you got a passion for it. Is there any way that people can kind of see any of this music stuff that you do?
I do I have 2 Instagram accounts. I was kind of torn on making 2 of them or not, if I should keep it separated. So I did. I have one that's for the streaming and one that's just for the music,
Cool.
because I don't have anything that's like professionally recorded or any capacity. I sing on stream all the time, so I mean, people if they really want to get that auditory assault, they can get it at some point. But
Well, I mean,
uh,
I'll leave a link to both of the Instagram accounts in the description as well because I want to check it out. Like,
yeah,
I'm just
yeah,
generally curious.
um, yeah. I'll be posting stuff there. I think there's just pictures and stuff at the moment. And if I can scrounge up like links to anything, I know there's a command in my chat on Twitch that is just exclamation point scream.
Mm.
Because my capture card died for like a week or whatever, and I
Yeah,
was just playing music the entire time, and it's a bit of a heavier thing when I was learning how to fry scream and stuff, but
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. No, that's really cool. Outside of the music side of things, do you do any like health and fitness based stuff? Do you work out? Do you have a focus on that at all?
I do. I'm not like super heavy. I'm not like precaution or anything where he's super fit. But because of some health issues, I've had to like lose a lot of weight. I used to be super fat. I was gonna say overweight.
Really?
I was just fat, dude. I was 280 pounds, um,
Wow.
which is what is I brought it up because I was like showing off because I'm an idiot. 88 kilograms or something around there, right? And I'm 6'2", and so I was quite rotund. I was a large boy, and I was having stomach issues and stuff. And they were like, "You got to lose weight, dude." And I
Yeah.
was like, "Sure." And so I started eating better, and just like jogging. I don't run or anything, just like moving,
Yeah.
um, and trying to keep that up, which is a little difficult with not just with like the COVID times, but the amount of time that is required with like just sitting and doing like if you're editing videos or streaming or
Yeah.
because streamers are quite often known to just not give a shit about their health and stream for like 12 hours, and it happens. But you got to move at some
That's
point.
that's why I asked that question because it's one of the big things. I don't know if you know about Divine Mind, but which we really put a big emphasis on trying to help people to have a healthier balance in their life, right?
Yeah.
Because that exercise can make it such a big difference. Just having a good idea on food and what you're eating and how that can affect you, it can really change and it can make you better, right? Like if you want to be a
Yeah.
pro player, you want to be a better content creator, you'll have more energy, you'll sleep better, you'll be more friendly, more approachable. Like there's so many things. Right? You'll be more confident in
it
yourself.
it'll
You
it'll
know?
change you for
Yeah.
sure. It'll make you feel so much better and so much like I feel so much more confident just in my looks, which I know isn't like something you should care about, but like just from my perspective, like I don't really I don't want to swear. I try not to swear too much on other people's stuff. I don't care about what other people think about how I look.
Yeah.
Because every now you get salty kids all the time. They'll be like, "You're ugly," and it's like, I don't. Who cares? Get on
Yeah.
my chat.
Yeah.
But I just feel so much better being lighter and not. It feels bad.
Hmm.
It feels not great being like super overweight and being like self-conscious about it and stuff like that. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Well, we are working on currently, well, when I say we, I am currently working on a really good little challenge of like using your KDA for workouts and putting that kind of challenge out there to some different content creators. So I'll send it out to you when it's done as well. You can choose to use it if you want to on your stream or
sure.
something, just for fun. Because yeah, I think it's super important that, for people like us, where we've got people watching us, especially for younger generation watching us, they see us sitting for a long time. They see us talking. They see us playing. And then if we are doing the healthy stuff, it's generally not on camera. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, it's really important that I think that we at least have the conversation about, you might see me doing this for this long, but I'm also doing these other things because I know, right? For like, if like I just recently did the grind to get 152. I played 14 hours a day, right? For,
Oh
for
God.
25 days. I got 25 million experience in a row, 1 million experience every single day. And it was super unhealthy. But because of all the sitting I was doing, I was probably for maybe 6 hours of that. I was playing while I was standing. I was stretching while I was playing. Like I was
Yeah.
doing a workout halfway through every single day that went for about 45 minutes. Every day before I started and every day after I finished, I went for a walk. But people don't know those things. And I think it's really important for us to have that as part of the conversation. So
Yeah,
um,
for sure.
it's good to hear. I'm like awesome, man, that you've already had that experience for yourself.
Yeah.
Like
It was something that had to happen. Like it was a physical thing that was kind of wrecking my voice because I had acid reflux really bad,
yeah,
and it was one of the things on the checklist that they were like, "Well, you got to do this before we go on and try anything else." And I was like, "That makes sense." And I wasn't happy with how I was anyway,
yeah,
so I was like, this is two birds, one stone.
yeah,
Let's
beautiful.
let's get it done. And I've stayed relatively healthy.
Yeah,
Just proportion the meals and get
yeah,
some movement in.
yeah.
That's
Awesome, man. Well, we're coming up close to our hour, and I've got a few more things I really want to ask. So I'm going to try and do like a little bit of a speed round.
sure.
The first thing is between now and infinite, have you got any goals? Have you got like a social media that you're focusing on? Is there anything that we can help you to push and get done before then?
I don't have any huge goals. I want to try to focus on something on YouTube, but I don't have anything concrete for that, unfortunately. Like actual YouTube videos, not just like the highlight things that I upload. Um, Other than that, I'm just gonna try to maintain a consistent stream schedule
Yeah.
because I've been a little bit shaky about that the last few weeks.
Yeah.
And I'm going to try to build up the music thing, which I know again isn't uh, Halo related
Oh, I
necessarily,
love it.
but
Yeah, yeah.
but I'm trying to put everything, trying to get everything interconnected, trying to be more up and up on all my social medias just in general,
Yeah, cool.
um, and just being more consistent and putting out kind of more interesting stuff. Like Anthony's doing some really funny little skits with his Twitter videos. I don't know if you've seen them, but
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
they're silly. I want to try to find something like that for myself without like ripping,
Yeah, yeah, I
off
get
what
what you
he's
mean.
doing.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
and
We can't,
that's
we
that's
can't
just
all just ridiculously over the top simp for Jen and
that's true. Can't just you can't do that. So you got
yeah, yeah. But no, that's awesome. Okay, so kind of there's a few things that we ask at the end of every podcast episode, and the first one is if you saw yourself in like 5 years from now, what's the like dream reality look like for you, right? So if you thought 5 years down the track, where is Ghost10101010101? What's the best possible outcome for you 5 years from now?
uh doing this but more stable. To be honest, um, I've been I actually started streaming full time because of where I live. The cost of living is so incredibly low, and I have a very supportive community.
Hmm.
Um, I saved up money like what was it, a year and a half, 2 years ago, and I just started doing it full time just to see if I could, kind of thing. Because I was like, screw it. It goes back to I don't remember if I mentioned it, but not starting things when you want to and kind of putting them off. And I feel like I've done that a lot in my life. And I was like, screw it. I'm just gonna. It's not gonna hurt anything. I wasn't pursuing any crazy career or anything in the first place, so uh, just hopefully Infinite brings up everyone.
Yeah.
There's a chance it won't. It might just bury me.
No.
Hopefully it brings up everyone,
Yeah.
um, and revitalizes kind of the entire scene.
Yeah.
Because there's obviously people that are super passionate. I mean, look at the send off tournament that happened.
Yeah.
Like, um, so yeah, I just want to keep doing what I'm doing and hope that it keeps going without falling apart at the seams.
Yeah. So 5 years from now, big thing would be being more consistent with all the different content you want to put out on all the different, streams for it to go out. Something so that, you're progressing forward with it, probably having a little bit more money coming in from different sources, being able to upgrade equipment, provide better quality entertainment. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, it'd be fantastic if I could. Cause I want to replace this webcam. I want to get
Yeah.
like a DSLR and get some cool stuff that I see other people using, but it's just like it's too out of the wheelbarrow to chuck out expenses for. So
Yeah.
that'd be cool. And of course, if I could get a better way to set up, and I might be able to do it now, and I just don't know how.
Yeah.
Just increasing my knowledge of my own equipment, so I
Yeah.
can like do music streams easier and stuff like that would be really cool.
Yeah. Awesome.
Um, yeah, like everything's going really well now. It's just if it could be now but better,
Yeah.
just like a little just that might be a cop out answer, but
No, no, I love it. Hey,
um,
if you're happy with where you are at the moment, you just want it to be more of that, then that's
yeah,
completely
it's
fine. There's a lot of people that'd be very jealous of you for that.
yeah. I don't necessarily need a whole lot. Like I really like the little community we have. We have a bunch of really cool dudes that just come out and hang out that I've known for years now, and
Yeah.
everyone's super chill. And I have a little kitten that's attacking my feet.
Awesome. Well, dude, I love that for you. The last kind of thing is obviously Ant tagged you in, and so I always ask just so that who's someone that you would like to see or do the podcast. So someone that you think has a cool story to tell or that would add value to it. Who would you like to kind of tag in to be up next?
You could have you interviewed the Patman Gaming by
I haven't.
chance? He's very heavily on the YouTube like news front for Halo.
Cool.
He also streams a lot, but he's kind of he's he's very hardworking.
Yeah.
He's a cool dude. I think him and a buddy of mine 100%ed MCC somewhat recently. Like they did
Wow.
all the achievements and all that stuff. Like absolute just nutty stuff. He's a huge Halo fan. He's got like a Batman themed Halo helmet. Like
Wow.
the dude's cool. He's a,
Yeah, yeah.
he's a cool dude.
Well, I'll let you reach out to him and say, hey, there's going to be a DM coming your way from DM, and yeah, I've thrown you under the bus. You're going to do an episode of the podcast with them, and and then we'll get them on here and we'll run them through the same kind of questions because it was absolutely awesome to talk to you, man. Before we finish up as well, is there anything that we kind of missed or anything else you'd like to talk about? Tell the people about yourself.
I don't think so. We covered about everything. Like I said, I'm not terribly complex. I'm pretty chill dude. I just play music, video games. We hang out. We try not to take things too seriously.
Yeah, awesome, man. Well, it was great. I really enjoyed getting to know you a little bit more. And I say this to everyone as well. It'll be great. We'll talk, maybe once Infinite's been out a little bit, we'll do another episode of the podcast and catch up and see where you're at and see what effect a brand new game being amazing kind of has on all of our careers. And we'll kind of keep track that way. But yeah, it was really fantastic. I think that's everything that we generally go through and ask at the end. So thank you to everybody who tuned in and watched the podcast. I like to say this at the end of every single episode, but if there's an idea that you had while watching that you think would improve the quality of the podcast, then let me know. And in the comments, I'm going to make sure that I can do my best to implement it for you. If you enjoyed listening to Ghost1010101010101, and you want to see more of his cats and get to meet them, then who was that?
That is, we don't really. That's the kitten. That's the rescue kitten. We don't have a super good name for it. Crystal was thinking pine cone,
Oh, okay, cool.
because he was under a pine tree.
Yeah,
He's being a menace right now.
yeah, fair enough.
If people want to know how to remember my name, it's 4 10s and a 1.
4 10s and a 1. Ghost 4 10s and a 1. There we go.
Yeah.
And just
That's how I've always remembered it when I'm entering it on
that
anything.
makes sense. Yeah, yeah. But guys, yeah, if you enjoyed this, you thought he was pretty chill dude, you want to go hang out with him, in the description of the video, all the links are there. Go and show some love, be a part of it, because all of you guys watching this, you help the community grow, and we do this for you. If you want to see someone on the podcast, then make sure you leave that in the description. I'll make sure that, sorry, in the comments, and I'll reach out to them, and we'll get them on, because yeah, we love doing it. But thanks again so much for coming on, Ghostman. It was awesome to chat with you. And
Thank you, man. It was a lot of fun. It's always fun talking about Halo.
yeah, of course, yeah, it definitely is, man. It's what we live for, and hopefully everything works out coming into Halo Infinite. So I'll be making sure that I've got you followed on everything, so I can keep supporting you through it. But thanks again for the time, and I'll see everybody on the next episode of the podcast. Catch you later.
Bye.